Apply the rule of thumb for wrapping a box in the shape of a rectangular prism with the length twice the width and the height one-half the width. Determine the function rule for the area of wrapping paper needed using the formula for surface area. SA equals 2 times LW plus WH plus HL. Okay, so remember that we want to use the rule of thumb here, which is just adding 25 hundredths feet to every single length, width, and height, which is the same thing as adding 3 inches. And then let's go ahead and write down what they gave us in terms of the length and the height. So they tell us the length is twice the width. And so if our width is going to be W, then we can say that L, the length, will be 2W because it's twice the width. And then the height is 1/2 the width. So we can say H is 1/2 times the width. And then remember with the rule of thumb, then we're going to be adding 25 hundredths to every single length, width, and height. And so now that we have these just all in terms of width, then we can go ahead and plug these into our function or into our equation, and then we can simplify that to get a nice equation where we only have W as the variable. And so I'm just going to go ahead and color code this and substitute in L, W, and H. Okay, so I've gone ahead and I've color coded. I had just the width and the outline be yellow, and then the length white, and then the height blue. And I just went ahead and filled those exactly into our equation. And so now we can go ahead, one thing also to note is that the 2 is being multiplied by the entire thing. So making sure to put brackets around the whole entire thing, and we'll multiply in that 2 at the very end. And so let's go ahead and just work left to right and distribute what we can, leaving the 2 outside. So first we have these first 2 pairs, so we can distribute. So 2W times W is 2W squared, and then 2W times 25 hundredths is 50 hundredths W, and then 25 hundredths times W is 25 hundredths W, and 25 hundredths times 25 hundredths is 625 ten thousandths. And then continuing on here, we have W times 1/2 W is 1/2 W squared. W times 25 hundredths, 25 hundredths W. 25 hundredths times 1/2 W is 125 thousandths W. And then again, 125 or 25 hundredths times 25 hundredths is 625 ten thousandths. And then continuing on here, then 1/2 W times 2W is just 1 W. And then 1/2 W times 25 hundredths is going to be 125 thousandths W. And 25 hundredths times 2 is 50 hundredths, and then we still have the W, and then 25 hundredths times 25 hundredths is again 625 ten thousandths. All right, wow, that was not very pretty. Okay, so let's just combine any like terms that we can. So we see we have a 2W squared. Let's look for another W squared. So we have a 1/2 W squared, and that's it. And so 2, actually we should have one more than that. Let's see, we made a mistake. So see in the last one, a 1/2 W times 2W, we should have had 1 W squared there. So that was right here. Okay, so we have a W squared as well. So 2 plus 1/2 plus 1, that's just 3.5. So, or 3 5/10 W squared. And then we have 50 hundredths W plus 25 hundredths W plus 25 hundredths W plus 125 thousandths W plus 125 thousandths W plus 50 hundredths W. And so adding together all of those coefficients, we get, and I just did this in a calculator, 1 75 hundredths W. And then lastly, just adding together all the numbers now, then we have 625 ten thousandths twice here, well, 3 times. So 625 thousandths times 3 is 1,875 ten thousandths. So behind the decimal place. And let's not forget that we have a 2 still multiplied all in the front of all of that. So let's go ahead and multiply the 2 in. So 2 times 3.5 is 7 W squared. 2 times 1 75 hundredths is 3.5 W. And then 2 times 1,875 ten thousandths is 375 hundredths, or thousandths. And so now instead of surface area, since this is a function in terms of W, then we have A of W, meaning the surface area of W. And so let's go ahead and summarize our answer. The function rule for the area of the wrapping paper A of W in terms of the width W is A of W equals 2 times 2W plus 25 hundredths times W plus 25 hundredths plus W plus 25 hundredths times 1/2 plus W plus 25 hundredths plus a half W plus 25 hundredths times 2W plus 25 hundredths. A of W equals 7W squared plus 3 1/2W plus 375 thousandths.